Hello there and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we have Pro Lopotka, who is currently rank 11 on the leaderboard versus number 14, Fealthas. Although their OS scores here are different at the time of recording, that is their current standings, 11 versus 14. So we have Fealthas on the south side on this map in blue, playing as Armada, and Lopotka in red, going Cortex. Lopotka here with a bot lab queued up, and Fealthas yet to decide on his factory. Now, we can see that this map is mostly flat. There are some areas of hills, but surely not enough that it's going to cause issues with vehicles much at all. There's a lot of metal points on this map as well, as you can see from these corners here. Quite a substantial amount of metal either side of the starting position. And also with them being 2.5 metal, that is a lot of metal to just leave on the table and not claim. Now, as I had an inkling, Fealthas here is using that metal advantage to go vehicles. For those of you that aren't aware, vehicles obviously cost more metal to build as opposed to a bot. So for example, a thug is 140 metal, and then the vehicle equivalent of a stout is 225. So vehicles cost a lot more metal, however they cost a lot less energy. So on a map that is so very full of metal, it makes sense. Now in this initial stage, we're not going to see much here. As we zoom out, what I'm expecting to happen is both players are going to take their side mexes here. Very important to get those. And then we'll probably not really see much in the middle, I would predict. I have a feeling what's going to happen is we'll see Fealthas take control of this hill on his left side. Build a radar there, which will give him good coverage over pretty much this entire section of the map. And then because of the way that the terrain is over here, we may see some static defenses placed over this section over here. But Fealthas is probably going to try and push via the left side, and Pro Lopotka is going to be pushing on his right side via those hills. It does take longer to go that way, but I feel like that's probably the more advantageous position. Saying that, we can see Lopotka here queuing up basically what we just said. He's queued up a bunch of stuff with his commander to go right in to that kind of area. And as we zoom in here, we can see he's got mechs, LLT, and radar, followed by two more mexes and an LLT, mech, LLT, and then over here to another radar. Surprisingly, wanted to get the radar early and ignore the high ground advantage. And we do actually also see that there is some reclaim on this map. Got 175 there, 175 here. So a good few chunks, which is maybe why he decided to go for a res bot, which we do for bot lab rather, which we do see the res bot has been queued to go to all of those locations already and start getting the reclaim. Whereas obviously Fealthas will not have that option. It's not going to matter though if Fealthas can get the res bot killed with the scout. And here we see Fealthas here with his commander basically doing the same thing here, but moving more to the right side and not the left. He isn't planning on moving across that far yet. And again, with this initial stage, we may see some good early raiding here from this grunt, but it has been spotted. And Fealthas is not actually going to be able to get up there. Interesting that that bot can climb up the top of that hill. And Fealthas made a mistake here. And that grunt is going to get some damage off. Unfortunately, if he ran it further around the back, he might have got the metal extractor as well, but only losing one wind there, not a big deal. Meanwhile, this scout is just kind of tailing the red bot. There we go, we do see the scout now finally getting this res bot. Or not. He's still going to get quite a lot of the reclaim before it gets down. There we go. Meanwhile, in the middle, we see these blitzes get cleared up pretty quickly by the grunts. Really going to have to worry too much about that. But we do see a very stark change in methodology here, with Fealthas just purely going vehicles and the Potka going bots. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to win out in the end over that. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if we end up seeing the Potka here decide to switch out into vehicles at some point. He's trying to make the most of having extra metal right now by pumping it into like as much as possible. And that does mean he does actually have 3 construction turrets, so he can pump out a bunch more units. Whereas Fealthas over here has a single one. Actually, only has 1 engineer in his base as well. And as we zoom out, quickly checking the statistics here, we'll see that Fealthas is actually behind on metal produced, even though he's expanded a bit more along the side. It doesn't really help too much. The aggression is, you know, not really that important. Units lost. Lopotka has lost 1 extra unit at this point. Again, not really that much of a big deal. But energy excess, Fealthas has excess 14k in energy. That will be why you saw he's built a energy to metal converter, so he can actually start using some of that excess energy that he's building. Now, as I've said in the economy video guide that I did, one of these will take about 12 minutes to pay off themselves for the amount of energy that you've had to build in order to get the single 1 metal. But bear in mind that if you've already built all of that energy and it's just wasting because you're overflowing, then you may as well build one, because it doesn't cost much metal to build one. You're just losing on the energy cost. Now this is a good raid here from Fealthas. These units will die, but to get this expanding engineer and all of those metal extractors that were built, it's going to make a big dent in Lopotka's eco. Now part of me would say I would have pushed these guys off into the corner and control deep them, so they wouldn't have left much of a wreck. But you know, micro times are a bit difficult when you're you know, trying to pay attention to such a large map that this is. But it's actually building an NLT around the back here to cover. I'm surprised it didn't just push forward to this one instead. Now what this high ground does give you is it gives you an opportunity to use plasma. Plasma gets increased range, I believe, if it's on high ground. That is something that, if you're certain of that, you can let me know in the comments. But I believe that's what it is. And so having a high ground advantage with plasma is beneficial. Maybe we'll see someone build an artillery up there. We are seeing a scout get reclaimed here. Will not have the damage required to kill the engineer, unfortunately. And so far, I'd say that Lopotka's on the back foot here. The vehicles of Fealthas definitely doing good work harassing. Oh, that's a lot of grunts though. And blitzers will not work very well against that many units. Now this is the issue for Fealthas. He keeps obviously raiding, which is good, but now with this huge chunk of grunts coming right down the middle, 33 of them, Fealthas does not have the units to stop this right now. And they also are just marching into uncontested territory. Now we are seeing the resurrection of blitzers as well, which is why I was mentioning about control D'ing them, so that they don't just get resurrected, as we're seeing up here, causing you to have to fight your own units as well. The engineer in the top right does get cleared up, and the blitz actually manages to deal with the grunt that's there as well. It isn't dealing with the metal extractor, but there we go, it's about to. And in the base, we are seeing a second bot lab and an air lab. Now, why the second bot lab? Mainly because he's waiting for the grunts to actually come off the line and these platforms to switch. So building a second lab, although probably not necessarily needed, he's pumping out a lot of grunts. And we're seeing that now, as on this front line, Fealthas is looking at somewhat struggled to be able to hold this now, but we do see a Janus or two out, which was good against swarms of units, which is exactly what these grunts are going to be, but multiple attacks here on different sides as we see another set of grunts coming through on the right as well as on the left. The mexes that were in the corner are also about to get cleaned up by all these grunts, and they're doing a great job at breaking through Fealthas' defenses, and we'll get a lot of metal extractors here in this very uncontested area. And the ones on the hill here are going to get cleaned up pretty easily, but it's more this set over here that's just got free reign at the moment to just walk around and clean it up. The direction of new units are being pushed over that way to the right instead of straight forward, and that will hopefully help clear them up. Although one grunt does get through, and I don't think Lopotka is aware. To be fair though, I don't think Fealthas is aware. Oh no, he does know it exists. And this one grunt just free reign to blow up as many windmills as he wants. And here come the bombers. Say goodbye to your wind, Fealthas. And will they get another bombing run out? Yes, they do. Is it going to be enough? Oh, all of the wind goes kaboom, and Fealthas is now going to be hurting for energy significantly. Now we see Fealthas here trying to get back the initiative, pushing again against the flank of Lopotka. But the sheer amount of grunts coming straight into Fealthas' base now. Gonna lose like several engineers here as well. We've got 3 engineers on this left side, maybe about to get blown up if you can't clear this up quickly. Does manage to contain that well, so that's fine. Meanwhile, he's concentrating so much on that he's ignored these forces up here, which are, well, there's a lot of grunts there as well, 21 of them. Now what we are seeing is Lopotka doing a good job at not grumping up his units here, meaning that the Janus is not going to get as good a hit off. Only got 2 with a single rocket there, as opposed to getting like, you know, 5 or 6. And we are now seeing the transition over to shurikens. Now in the future somewhat we are going to see an EMP rework, which may make shurikens less effective, but at the moment at least they are still pretty good, and one of the main reasons you see people go air as Cortex. And now those units are pretty much guaranteed to be dead, and some of them will escape, but that means that Fealthas is going to have to invest in some AA, some missile trucks. We are seeing 1.9k metal in the middle here. That's a lot of metal, but I don't know, Fealthas needs something to deal with this swarm of grunts. Lopotka's just churning out more and more grunts. He does actually have a vehicle lab now, and is starting to produce brute. So we may see a very, very quick transition over to vehicles here, and maybe he's going to completely eat up the 2 vehicle bot labs. Eat up the 2 bot labs and fully transition over to vehicles for a surprise kind of transition. Now, what can Fealthas do? So the Januses were a good idea. They're quite good against swarms. Like for now, for example, if a Janus rocket hit this clump here, that will take out a substantial amount of those units. The issue is he able to hit them? And we're also seeing Lopotka here take advantage of the water on this map. Now, tidal on this map is 25. So by just building these in the water, where only the commander is able to go at the moment, is just basically guaranteeing energy, which probably isn't even going to be hit all game. And interestingly enough, we do see kind of completely the opposite of what we expected. We do see Fealthas building a bunch of static here and getting the radar on this hill on this side. Both players have actually done that. But I expected Fealthas to be pushing more on his left side. But he's more just kind of having to defend on that side, and Lopotka choosing to try and push towards his more strongly defended position. And I would say that Lopotka here is definitely in a massive advantage right now. He does have a substantial amount of metal bank. 3,000 metal bank is clearly enough to just transition to Tech 3. Sorry, not Tech 3, Tech 2. As you can see here, advanced bots, 2,900. He doesn't have the energy right now is the issue, hence building all the title. But yeah, he needs something to... Fealthas needs something to deal with the air. Meanwhile, Fealthas' economy is pretty good. He's getting some fighters up now, which will deal with the shurikens pretty quickly. And we see stouts now out as well. Now, those stouts going down pretty quickly. The grunts doing their job here at getting that flanking damage, and but we actually do see a good counter use of the stouts here to push through on a different flank where Lopotka has no forces, and will cause him to pull his forces away to a different area. Now, this is the thing about 1v1s. If you're constantly on the defensive, you're going to have issues. You need to make plays yourself, force your opponent to react to your moves rather than you reacting all the time. Now, it's easy to say that because, you know, when you're losing, you're not really thinking about, oh, I need to be aggressive and try and make some form of play here. You're just thinking, oh man, how can I stop myself from losing? But this is how you stop yourself from losing. Look at all these forces that are now not going to the front line because they're chasing down 3 stouts. And by doing what Fealthas is doing here, splitting individual units up, forcing these units to split up even further, keep them away from the front line further. This is how you win 1v1s, by doing things like this. So, I still struggle with it myself, but I'm trying to envision this ideal. And we do see Tech 2 here from Lopotka, Vehicle Tech 2. Now, Fealthas is aware of that, and he's like, oh damn, I need to go Tech 2 myself, and has already started it. Will be up in 10 seconds-ish. And these tanks up here got mopped up pretty quickly, and those forces are really far away. Now, the difference is here is that Fealthas has a substantial amount of stouts now with Janus support, whereas Lopotka just has mostly grunts. So it has kind of turned in Fealthas' favor right now. Again, the issue though is he doesn't have much in the way of air defense to deal with these shurikens, which is going to limit his forces. And the fighters come in a bit late here, but that will clear up that force there of Lopotka. Now, the question is Fealthas able to make big enough dent with the forces that he has before a substantial amount of Tech 2 begins rolling out? Now, he does have Tech 2 of his own, but he's a bit behind in terms of metal banked. So Lopotka had a lot of metal stored, so he was able to get that factory out quickly and get enough units out. Whereas I would say that Fealthas is probably not in that sort of boat right now. Taking him quite a while to get a single bull built. And we do see the start of the use of the Tech 2 here on the right side. All the forces that were up in that corner are now just pushing through the right side of Fealthas, where he has no units at all. And what we actually see here is Fealthas, knowing that he's not going to be able to get those units there in time, just deciding to push with all the stouts he's got, try and do as much damage to Lopotka as possible, and delaying those reinforcements to that push. Now, he does have some bulls out, Fealthas, and that will make a bit of an impact, but the amount of units that have broken through his right-hand flank is going to be a little bit difficult to deal with. And we see these units here very evenly spread out, causing Janisses to not really have much of an effect. We do see some gunships out there, which is surprising. You don't very often see them built. But to be fair, for mopping up grunts, not a bad choice. And here we see now Fealthas deciding to basically use this opportunity and start moving up the flank that's just been cleared out. Now, also up here, we see that these forces are still on the offensive, forcing these 4 Tech 2, 5 Tech 2 tanks to chase him up the hill. And if Fealthas can micro these into the corner and get those couple more metal extractors, there we go. Question is now, are they going to be able to get there in time? I have a feeling that they're not. They're going to die before they get there. Ah, unfortunate. Resbots and tanks in the middle, just trying to get as much of that reclaim as we can. 3k metal there on Lopotka's side, which will definitely go in his favour. Those 2 engineers are 100% dead. And very back and forward this game. We see Fealthas now pushing on the right side with his Tech 1 and Tech 2 forces, and Lopotka pushing on the left side, rather. Fealthas on the right, Lopotka on the left, pushing down with their forces. Neither side really defending here, just both trading blows to the face and just trying to do as much damage to the player as possible. Now, just quickly looking over bases here, we do see more in the way of Tech 2 economy being built in Lopotka's base. So Lopotka does have a bit of an advantage when it comes to economy. Kind of trying to stay zoomed out here so we can see both fights at the same time, but this one's probably a bit more important. These line of blitzes are not really going to do anything to stop these Tigers. And there's another set of Tigers after that as well. And this may be a bit of an issue for Fealthas, as these Tigers are just going to come along and clear up the front line. Meanwhile, this actually may be big. This Tech 1 and Tech 2 combined push into Lopotka's base. There are a bunch of energy converters there. Very, very explosive if they do get shot at, which currently they're not. They're just hitting all the engineers instead. Come on, hit the energy converters! Whee! Whee! But the rest of that gets cleared up pretty quick. Some of it left over. These Tigers also managed to get cleared up with not too much damage done. But this is a significant push here. Well-spaced windmills here, causing not too much of the way of chaining of the windmills going up. And that's a fairly decent hit on Lopotka's economy. One of the first hits of the game to his economy. So, Black actually being built here as well from Lopotka. And these units here probably get killed by the commander. He is actually not aware that they exist. Has he seen... He has seen some of them, but not much. Now, that's like 4 metal, 5 metal. You're talking about 9 metal in the water here, just from these titles. And maybe that was the reason for the gunships as well, to go over there and just take that out. But we're not seeing them used for that yet. As we zoom out here, get a bit of an overview. There are a lot of uncapped mexes on Fealthas' side. And clearly where, you know, Lopotka just pushed through, but still. And also, though, to be fair, on Lopotka's side, he is... actually, most of his external mexes have been cleared up, but he does have more in the way of Tech 2 mexes, which is significant. And good job there, Fealthas, on stopping Lopotka building another... Ooh, another air lab. Unfortunately, he does lose his Tech 2 tank in that ball there. And just 2 balls here pushing up on the left-hand side. We're probably going to lose one of them though, just those units. Oh no, managed to survive. Meanwhile, we see in the middle here a bunch going up. Now, this is important. Fealthas has decided to use these units here as a distraction to lure the forces away, and meanwhile, these forces here are going to go for Lopotka's commander, is what I believe is going to happen. I don't think he's necessarily got enough here, but hopefully he's going to deploy that trap before Lopotka realizes. Come on, make the most of your opportunity. Do it. He is concentrating on microing his forces in defense first, but you win the game by killing the commander. You don't need defense. Now, unfortunately, Lopotka doing pretty badly here with his metal management. He has 6k metal right now in storage, not doing anything with it. He clearly needs more build power. And is trying to build just purely Tech 2. Maybe he needs to build more shurikens or something like that. Something to assist with that. Oh, Fealthas not pushing into the commander yet. And now that force that was going to be a good final push on the Lopotka's commander is about to get sandwiched from the side, and unfortunately that was an opportunity there for Fealthas to win. He knew the commander is there. We're getting Tech 2 air being built here. And this one stout is aware of that now, but it gets reclaimed pretty quickly. I don't know. I feel like the game's kind of in Fealthas' favour here. We quickly check the stats. Metal produced, Fealthas 112k, Lopotka 97. Wow, surprising there. Lopotka losing to Fealthas. Fealthas doing a great job at just continuously probing Lopotka, forcing him to have to react all the time, and he was just able to outdo more damage in the end. So thank you all for watching, and if you have a replay you'd like me to cast, feel free to send it across to me either on Discord or on email, and I'll see you guys next time.